BeamReach Inclusion, and it's a full-service organization when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And what we do is that educate, as we are today. It's a little bit of a promo of our services, and we are very lucky to be working with Elena as one of our wonderful facilitators. And we also provide diversity, inclusion, and equity strategy, design thinking related to that, as well as the full assessment and audit. Yes, so lots of things you can check out our website. But since we have very limited time, I would say let's just go straight into the topic. And if you have any questions related to what we do, you can always reach out to us afterwards. Um, yes, so Elena, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and I'm so happy to see you here. Also, familiar faces. Really glad you joined. So, the topic is how to lead the health conversations, specifically the workplace. Of course, you can apply those skills also in your private life, but we will be talking for the specific skills for managers if you're responsible for people at work. And Ola told about yourself. So I've been working in LED for 10 years, and I'm also a systemic coach with a focus on health. So my specialization is health talks, mental health prevention, and mental health issues prevention. And I've also been supporting several self-support groups and designed courses. So we'll just start immediately, and I want to say that it is supposed to be a workshop, so it will be great to have your opinions and contributions if you'd like to. If you want, you can always raise the hand to unmute yourself. I mean, we're not that many people now. Or you can always write your answer in the chat. We'll read them. And I'll start with the questions. Do we need to talk about health and work? And if yes, when and why? So if you have any ideas on that, you can just share your idea, because I do have my answer, but I want to hear yours. So I see yes. Or you can do thumbs up. Definitely yes, yes. So I hear only yes, even with the hearts. Yes, so my answer is also yes. And I would even emphasize it doesn't matter if it's work-related or private issue. In the end, there are certain state regulations. I mean, depending on the country you work in and live in. So the company is responsible for safe environment at work. And it doesn't only mean the proper desk and the lighting. It's also a safe psychological environment. So it's the law. And beside that, it's also, of course, financial aspect. So we all know about the longer sick leaves because of the health issues, presenteeism, and turnover, but also it highly impacts the company culture. I'm sure all of you who are already there on the webinar and workshop know about that, but still it's worth mentioning that it's definitely worth it, not only because of the human aspect of that we want to be better managers to our people, but it also really impacts the financial side and the reputation side of the company. So if you decide to lead a health talk, there are several factors. Yeah, will it be successful or not? So first of all, it's the general trust the person has in you and in the company. So of course, if you all of a sudden invite the person to the health talk and the person doesn't know you, and maybe in a year you have never shown interest in this person, most probably it will take some time to encourage the person to open up. If you've been on the side of this person for a long time, you have a relationship with the person, it is more possible that it will be successful and efficient. And of course, the company itself, the company culture. The main concern I faced with health talks is that the person is concerned if this information may be used against them later, for example, in terms of productivity or some character traits and so on. So you can be perfect manager in terms of how you lead the conversation, but if the trust is not there and it's not something we built in one day, most probably it will not work out. So let's keep in mind we do need trust to do that, of course, as in any other relationship in life. Of course, it does matter how to lead the conversation, how to prepare that. So that's our topic today. And it also, of course, it's not only your work to participate in this talk. It also depends on the person you talk to, how it will be perceived. So you can be the perfect coach, the perfect manager, but it will still not be accepted and not well perceived. So don't take it personally. Sometimes it happens also. It's not always because of you. Okay, we will go straight to the exercise in a minute. I want to mention the topic that is clearly very, very important for me. Usually it's mentioned in the end of the trainings. I mention it in the beginning. My concern and the concern of many managers I talk to, or many CEOs I talk to who want to introduce some health topics, is that maybe my employees will think that we will take care of everything now, and we will be their therapist, and we will provide them all kind of supports. I mean, we are not ready, or we don't want to. So it's not the case. You as a manager or a team lead or HR person, you're not supposed to fix everything. Your responsibility is to address the issue and to look for the ways to support. So you're not a fixer, you're not a therapist. So there's a clear boundaries. And you have your working time, you have your responsibilities. So you're not a best friend or buddy of this person. So please be sure you remember that it's not now your job to fix the problem. However, it's your job to address it and to recognize when to address it. We'll talk about it also in a minute. And we need to be aware that our team members also have their boundaries. And according to the law, at least to the German law and to the law of most countries I know, your team members have the right to keep all their health information confidential. So we cannot push for any details. And our employees are the ones responsible for accepting support you give them. So it's also important to know. So you can offer everything, but if the person doesn't want to accept it for any reason, it's also not your fault. Yeah, so with these boundaries, it's clear that we do need to address, we do need to offer support. However, there are clear frameworks for that and clear boundaries. So we don't have a magic pill for everything, right? Okay. And so now I invite you to do an exercise. And you will read this case. And I invite you to observe what are your thoughts while you're reading that. Nothing else, no action, nothing, just how do you feel about it? What do you think? We'll have like 1-2 minutes for that. And when you're ready, just please give a thumbs up, like give a smiley or some reaction. Let's start. Okay, one person is ready. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So now I invite you either to unmute yourself or put in the chat, what thoughts do you have? And not like how would you fix it or something, just whatever came up to your mind while reading that. Any assumptions, any thoughts, anything. Feel free to put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Alex is going through a hard time emotionally. Okay, thank you. First thought was that it could be something in his private life, but can also be work-related. Great. Or bullying. I see some other messages coming. Let's wait a second. Seeking a one-to-one with this employee would be essential. Okay, yeah, so could also be that he would need new challenges work-wise. If he's bored, personal issue with colleagues, conflict. Yes, so you see, we already started to have some ideas what it could be, what could the reasons be, and we all have our own idea because we make assumptions. And here are my assumptions, for example, or maybe some assumption that one may have. I'm pretty sure it's this, or maybe it's this. Maybe he's not that skilled for that, or maybe he's having a hard time, or please not now. I don't know what to do with that right now. It can be anything. And you see, you all had different versions of that, or some of them were still similar but still different. It gives us the picture that when we see the person, we have the idea of what's going on. It's our perception. And in this moment, we have to ask ourselves, what are the facts and what is our judgment and what is our assumption? Right? So now we talked about the interpretation of the facts we've seen in the case. And the first essential of the health talk, and actually of any talk in private or professional life, is not to make assumptions. It's very natural to have them based on our experience. It's okay to have them, but we shouldn't put them on the person, or we shouldn't assume it's the only way. Our formulate is always like this: my team member is a blank slate. So I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah. And with this mindset, we can start thinking of this issue, of this situation, of this context. So I don't know what's going on. I see some facts. How you interpret it is, or how you make your own assumption, it's yours, it's your personal thing, but we have to separate it from our professional mindset. Okay, so we're going straight to the health talk. So it should be very clear for you and for your team member that the goal is to define ways to support. It's not about finding out whose fault is that, or who is the bad guy, or how can I fix it right now, like quickly. It's all about how can I support. And our tools would be empathy, or our skills would be empathy, active listening, open questions, boundaries, focus on resources. So these are actually coaching skills. And most of our talk today will be also based on certain type of coaching skills relevant for the health talks. So the general steps would be the preparation. First, you recognize the need, and many of you already recognize the need while reading the case, right? I see these facts. I feel we have to talk. There's a need for the talk is the first step. And then you prepare, and I wouldn't skip that step, especially if you are new to giving or leading health talks. Lead the talk, follow up, and evaluation and further adjustments. So let's go straight away to recognizing. Yeah, when do I need to recognize? when do I need to address a health topic? It's a very gray area because it really depends. But I would say the general rule is that if you observe a behavior change or appearance change of a team member for some more or less longer time, I mean, what is longer time is discussable, right? I would put it like 1, 2, 3 weeks, but still I mean, you should also listen to intuition, to be honest. It just, for example, if you have a project end and it's a really intense project and for maybe 3 or 4 days, your team member is really tired. Maybe it's related to the project. Again, maybe we shouldn't even come to that. Yeah, so that the team member is so tired. But still, if you observe it like it's repeating and repeating and repeating, I put it 2 weeks as an average. You might look into the possibility of addressing certain issues. So it can be either change in productivity or change in interactions and mood, or change in physical appearance, for example, like change like tiredness and signs of fatigue, or hyperactivity on the opposite, or change in the dressing style, or like like the person doesn't really take care of themselves in terms of like taking shower and so on. Yeah, so it might happen, or the smell. So how do I prepare for the talk? Here we'll make also a little exercise in a minute. First of all, some guidelines. So first of all, we list the changes. So there were certain signals you saw that told you, okay, there's a need for talk. But again, we want to go away from assumptions. So you better make a list of what you've observed, really, like physically on your computer. I observed this and that. Then, super important, to reflect on your own judgment regarding this person. For example, do I perceive in general this person as lazy, or like maybe very hyperactive and too self-confident, or passive? Like whatever opinion you have about this person, we all do have. That's important, or that's normal, but it's important not to let those opinions influence now your talk. Yeah, we should be as neutral as possible. And what is my perception of this health issue in general? We don't even know what health issue is right now. But in general, when I see the tired person or unconcentrated person or super hyperactive person, maybe I already have some assumptions in my head. Maybe I faced that before, and I already I have some attitude about it. So we should be clear about our own experience to be able to stay as neutral as possible. So we ask the team member if they want to talk and when, and why do we want to talk, and we set a meeting. And now, how do we start? So we make an intro. I will explain in a second, and make clear what we observed to make kind of an introduction to the main topic. Then we define what the reasons of the change are. Are they work-related? Are they personal? Are they mixed? And here we encourage our team member to give their perspective. And we, together with them, we align on support and align on the follow-up. So how do we start? So imagine you are now with Alex. So from our case, you are with Alex in the room or in the virtual room. So your responsibility as a manager to say that it's not just because you want to do it, it's also your responsibility as a manager to address. Because of the occupational health regulations and safety, you're responsible to address this issue. First, then show some empathy and say it's not all normal. So it's not that it's a unique case and it's something that we've never faced before. So let's just figure that out somehow. No, it's normal. It can happen to everyone. It happened to me as well. And here we try to find ways to support you. It will not be turned against you. So we're here to support. And you share only what you want to share. it is confidential, and you have your right to keep everything you want confidential. So we cannot push for anything, and we shouldn't. Okay, now we come to after this like short intro, you actually come to your part. You describe your perception, right? Because you have the reason to start this talk. And now my next exercise to you, I will show you several phrases that from my point of view are not that helpful. And I ask you to rephrase them or give maybe some alternative how we can better use them in the health talk. So, okay, you can type them in the chat or unmute yourself. So, you became quite slow and non-responsive. How would you say it in a better way? I noticed a change in your communication style. I've noticed it has been more difficult to approach you recently. Yes? You are not yourself these days. It's hard to catch you. Thank you. Not using you that directly is a key, perhaps. Yeah, thank you for your answers. I left it here blank in the slide, but then we'll have like a summary. So yes, here the problem is that we generalize and we use this you, right? So it's like you are now slow and non-responsive like always, like now it's your state. The first rule of the effective talk is we don't generalize. So we give observation naming the facts in the context. So it would be important here, and this is why we need to prepare for the talk to make this list of observations. When did I observe that? How many times I noticed it? In which situation I noticed it? So we don't give any adjectives or like description to this person like you are like this, but we do this in the context. In this situation I noticed, or in this meeting I noticed, or during this project phase I noticed you you answered like 3 days later, or in the conversation with a colleague X I noticed that you missed in this. So we are sticking to facts. Why? Because we don't want to put the label on the person. And a second, we want really to show like that we're attentive to them. So we're not just like one single thing and we picked it out and now we judge. We'll have a summary where I would describe it again. What I would say here, I would pick up like the slow and non-responsive and give specific examples, as I mentioned earlier. When did you mention the person is slow? What is slow? Was it not meeting the deadline? What is not responding for like hours or days or whatever criteria you have? What is non-responsive? What are your rules for responsiveness, right? So we stick to facts. And as Laura also mentioned, we should use it carefully. I mean, sometimes it's appropriate, but sometimes like it's nice to add, I noticed that in this meeting this happened. I noticed this and that. Yeah. Of course, it's nice, as Mayan said, I noticed a change in your communication style, but then it would be important also to add what kind of change, some details in the context. Yeah, I've noticed it has been more difficult to approach you recently. Another answer. Yes. When did you notice that? What is difficult for you? You are not yourself these days. It's hard to catch you. When was it hard to catch you? Yeah, in what context? So this is important to stick to the facts. Okay, second one. Okay, what's going on? Yes. What would be your alternative to that? If you would like to, maybe it seems okay for you, then type it exactly like that. I think it's okay. It's the same.
Sorry,
Yes?
don't really understand. What do you mean? Could you repeat?
Yes, Victoria. I mean that this statement, I consider personally myself, or as a professional, that it's not that helpful to use in the conversation.
But it's the same statement that we have already analyzed, no? Or am I wrong?
Really? You don't see the second statement? We will not meet the project deadline if we don't clarify.
No. Personally, I don't.
Okay, what's going on? Just a second. Thank you
Now
for
I see it.
addressing
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, now you see it. Okay. So what would be your sentence or your phrase that you would use? Or maybe you will not say it at all. Something along the lines. Would be good to understand if there is something we can do to support you. Yes, thank you. Yeah, this is a tricky one because actually there's hardly any way to rephrase it. Yeah, it would be beneficial. I would like to support you, and if needed, we can take the pressure off. It would be beneficial for us to discuss if there's anything that could support you in meeting the deadline. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, definitely not easy. I agree. Yeah, so I absolutely agree with all of your statements. I think you're already great coaches. It's like here we're putting pressure and we're putting guilt just straight away on the person, and this is not helpful because it just it makes the person even more miserable. The person is already struggling enough, and it doesn't help to remind that we have issues because of you. So solutions oriented, yeah, help oriented. And you're absolutely right. Here it would be nice to ask some open questions. Let's talk and find out if there's any way I can support you or we can support you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Or you shouldn't mention. Sometimes you can just skip it and don't mention the project deadline at all because the main focus is on supporting, like, right? So it depends very much on the context. So if it's what is the priority, right? So you can see, but open questions and invitation to have a talk to find the ways to support. Great, thank you. So the next slide, can you see it? You look depressed. Yes. I feel something is not going well, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Would you like to share with me? I noticed that there has been some tension lately, and I was wondering if there is any support required from our side. I have been worried about you. Is everything okay? Okay, thank you so much. It all sounds really respectful and compassionate, empathetic. One more message coming. Yeah, it's difficult. Yes, it is. It is. But we'll learn about more best practices in a minute. Yeah, so I really like that you underline your perception. So I noticed, I feel something is in there. And then you offer support of how shall we find some ways to support you. That's great. Yeah, is everything okay? I'm here to support whenever you need. I've been struggling myself. Just feel free to share. We don't need to talk about work right now. Yeah, so here, exactly the same thing as you look depressed. We don't say that, or we shouldn't say that, because we already put in the label on the person. We are already saying you have depression. I mean, we don't use the medical terms for that. It's our assumption. And it's our assumption that there's medical condition. Maybe there is not. We don't know yet. So it's all pure assumption. So we should come back to the first puzzle piece. So describe what you noticed. And then we, from this description, we invite the person to talk. How? We'll talk in a minute. So yes, I absolutely agree, Laura. I think even mentioning medical condition is a huge mistake. Absolutely, absolutely. We are not qualified to mention any terms, medical terms, any conditions. We're here to express what we observed, not more, not less, and invite the person to share their perspective. Unless we do that, we cannot really go further. And the last sentence, I'm not sure. I know that was the last, sorry. So thank you so much for this little exercise. So we've got 5 minutes more till the questions, and then so we'll wrap up this part. So we named the changes we observed. I noticed, but then as precisely as possible, what, when, how many times, with whom, and so on. In this case, we can avoid generalization, putting the guilt. You are like this. You as a person are like this. And I summarized also the general rules in one slide. We discussed that before. So we don't use the names of diseases or some medical terms. We describe the behavior changes. To diagnose, this is not our role. We are not qualified, it's not our responsibility. This is why, for example, if we come back to the case of Alex, the fatigue, the unconcentration, or the change in the social skills, it's not only about maybe depression or maybe some burnout or maybe some private issues or whatever. It can be some organ dysfunction. It can be insomnia. It can be whatever. So we really don't know. We don't make assumptions. We don't put guilt, and we don't generalize. So this is essential for any sensitive conversation. I would even say for any proper human conversation. So if we stick to that, it will already give us a lot, and the person will be seen as a equal member of this conversation. Okay, to give you an idea of what's coming next, because in this little workshop we only start how to enter this conversation and what language to use. So how do we invite the person after this introduction? What can we say? So I invite you to use the following phrases. You can also use your own, but we have to find out if my perception is the same for you or similar. Have you noticed the same, or maybe you noticed something different? What is your situation? what is more difficult for you right now, what is less difficult, and so on. So we don't go further without knowing all the details of the perspective of the person, because our perspective is only the half, or I would even say the less than half of the entire issue. Yeah, so we invite a team member, and when the team member talks, it depends on the dynamic, on the trust we have, but at least we can expect the answer, yes, I noticed these two, or no, I noticed something different, or I leave some different situation and challenges right now. So invitation is important. And to close this part of the health talk, is that I will just summarize how it goes further, and you will get it all on the slides, because this is a long process. When you hear the perception of the team member, it's important to validate it, right? Because it's their perception, it's valid, even if you don't agree and you see it differently. It's important to be there present and to listen with all your presence, sitting straight and listening, and maybe nodding or paraphrasing, summarizing. So we're giving this space, because now we don't talk about solutions, we don't talk about support, we're just gathering information. And after you have these two pieces, your perception and the team member's perception, you can talk about the reasons. Yeah, so you use the coaching methods to ask about the reasons. You don't make assumptions yourself. And then you will move into the root causes. Are they work related? Are they personal? Are they mixed? And depending of the cause, we do the talk further. We conduct certain further investigation. If it's work related, you will have more responsibility to ensure certain changes. If it's personal, there are ways to still support the employee without being too invasive. Sometimes it's mixed. Yeah, in many cases it's mixed. So we have to differentiate. But it doesn't matter if it's work related or personal. We'll need to take some action as managers. How to do that is the topic of the following workshops and trainings. So normally during our full-time trainings, we work in groups with the cases, more difficult cases as well, and go through the entire process of this. So, but here we know how to approach that right now, and how to start this. And start is the most difficult part, I would say. So this in the very beginning of the health talk now, but that was the intro to the health talk, and we have 4 minutes, even 3 minutes left to, I would say 2, because we need to close in 3 minutes. What would be your main questions now, and maybe your main challenge, your main impression? And also, to say in advance, I invite you to later on send me the messages about the topic that you would like to get covered later. Either I will cover it on LinkedIn or some articles or in the trainings. So feel free to message me or send me an email. The contacts will be in the handout. So I will make sure all your questions are answered. So what are your main questions now? Do you have any? Maybe what is the most challenging part of all this? See hearts coming. Thank you so much. Okay. Yes, very important question. Thank you. How do you document this? Very, very important question. Thank you. I mean, it depends if your company already has some rules about documentation. Normally, it's not the case, to be honest. So you're free to create your own. But I would invite you to document it from the very beginning. As a manager, you can just store it somewhere in a confidential place. So you have access, and you can decide who has access. To find any format that is comfortable for you, I would say preparation, so the list of observations, like really certain situations, what I observed, when and how. And then when you go to the talk, you have kind of a checklist, right? Because you have a list. And later on, to have you a sneak peek of what's going on. So when you have a health talk, you usually align on some support ways, how to support what you align to do, and you set a follow-up call or follow-up meeting. So all this should be ideally documented. So you will, after the meeting, ideally send a follow-up email to the person with a summary. So this is what we discussed, it's what we aligned on, and our next meeting is in 2 weeks or in 1 month. And the same documentation you can also like store somewhere in your folder. So about the whole procedure, what you talk about, what you align on. So it should be on the team member's side as an email, for example, and on your side, it should be stored somewhere in the confidential work space. Yeah, it will allow you later on to have access to that in case any issues, and also to keep yourself and the team member accountable, and also to be objective, as if it's possible ever, but as objective as possible. All right, one more question and then we close. Something is coming. Let's wait. What do I say if the person is very worried about the next performance review? Yeah, it's a brilliant question. Thank you. It's a very common situation, right? Well, we sometimes this, or very often this worry also the part of this, or maybe the part of health issues. They don't want to talk about this too much because the view is coming and whatever. First of all, we do not start with our assumptions, already solutions. We always ask questions. So now when the person says, or we see they are worried, or they say, I'm very concerned about the performance review, we should stop ourselves and instead of giving some statement, we should find out more. So we are acting out of position, I don't know. Again, I don't know anything. So we ask the question, is there anything specific you are worried about? What makes you feel concerned about it? Is there any specific situation that makes you concerned? So we do not go further without asking questions, and keep asking, and what else? And what else? And is there anything else? Because in most cases, the root cause will come up. And then you will see what the person says. And you will find the ways to support depending on what the person says. But we need to dig deeper in this, right? So never make assumptions or statements or offer solutions without asking more as a first step. Okay, so I will close now. You will get the slides and the recording. And also feel free to share it with your colleagues who might benefit from it. We'll continue working on the topic because, I mean, we are now in the middle of the health talk, and we'll still need to cover the root causes, the ways to find ways to support, what kind of support are there, and how to follow up, how to document, and so on. So thank you, Ola, for giving the space for that. And if you have any questions about the collaboration, please reach out to Ola and to BeamReach. If you have any questions regarding the topic, feel free to reach out directly to me. I will cover that. So thank you so much for your answers, for your great participation. Ola?
Thank you so much, Elena, for this wonderful talk. It's absolutely fantastic. I picked up lots of things myself, and the rest of you. First of all, let's just give a little bit of a round of applause. I love that. But also early in December, our next webinar is going to be inclusive AI. So if you're interested in the topic related to technology and how to make sure that AI, because it's hot right now, inclusive AI, as well as other things related to technology. We'll announce it soon. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you later. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.